Is Nicola there? Is she there?
Ah, there she is!
I mean, we've been looking into what you've been up to. So, Demelza Hospice Care for Children, helping those who may not live a long life live a full life. What a beautiful thing. Demelza provides specialist care and emotional support for children with terminal conditions and their loved ones, so they can enjoy time together as family for as long as they have.
We've had to take the difficult decision to postpone and cancel a lot of our events, and obviously all of our retail outlets are closed now, and that's all having a really significant impact on income. Looking on our Facebook group, so we've got a really lovely Facebook group called Team Demelza, and it's where our supporters can add what they've been doing onto our page, and there's things like somebody baked 26 cupcakes. I don't know whether or not they ate them all. They might have done. We had some kids that did a challenge in their back garden. They ran around the perimeter of their garden 115 times to make 2.6 miles. So people are getting really ingenious about how they're doing this challenge for us. I saw a lady called Michelle who had done. She wasn't a big fan of walking or running. She felt that she couldn't run 2.6 miles, so she danced it instead. I mean, really? I would say that perhaps dancing 2.6 miles is harder than running 2.6 miles, but she put some photos on our page. It looks fantastic, and she obviously had a lot of fun doing it.
Kaz Macklin from the Chamber of Commerce, you kicked off a bit of a big project, haven't you, to help local businesses? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
One of the complimentary things that the Chamber are offering via the Kent and Medway Growth Hub is the COVID-19 business support line. And a quick shout out, if I may, for the phone number. It's 0333 602 300. It's supported, most importantly, by Kent County Council and other local authorities. And do you know what, guys? Unbelievably, we've had 4,500 calls from Kent-based businesses. We've had some fantastic blue sky moments. One of them, a chamber member, is Copper Rivet Distillery, who are working with fellow chamber members, Neems, and then now instead of distilling gin, which ordinarily is superb, they're now distilling hand sanitizer. So they're utilising their technology and their resources, and the founder of that is Bob Russell. So a very, very large shout out for the great work that he's doing in supplying frontline workers and NHS. On a smaller scale, we've got some other really touching stories. We have a member called Kite Packaging, locally in Sittingbourne, and they're making hand masks, along with Luke Granger Photography. They're not able to get out with their drones and photograph. So in a very small way, they're contributing to the NH effort by making face masks. Again, an absolutely wonderful illustration, spirit and philanthropy, don't you think?
Whoosh! There he is!
Can you tell us a little bit about Puggy Rose to viral fame? What's the story behind it?
Maybe one of boredom. I had a page, and we made you put your pictures up of your dog, right? It's doing something cute, you put it up, and you might get 5 likes, and that's cool. But yeah, I chucked him in my job at the time, my office desk drawer, and pulled him out of it, and pretty much said how to de-stress at work. Pinged it over to my friend on Facebook, who pretty much pinged it onto his friends, and then overnight it was a 3-4 million viewed video. All the big pages were getting in touch, and then suddenly I realised, hold on, people like to see Puggy doing silly things. Too much at all. Always made little videos in my life. All my jobs in the past have been video related, but never thought they'd be shot on an iPhone and my little best friend. We've had one video with 23 million views, which was Puggy just getting wrapped up as a gift in wrapping paper, and that boomed. And I think that's lots of people that can't send presents to each other are then tagging their friends into this video and saying, yo, if I could get to you, I'd get you this present. And yeah, it absolutely went out of control. But yeah, load more engagement, load more activity, and we've just got busier creating more content and more funny stuff. Puggy's been doing high fives to cheer people up, the same kind of birthday messages. He's been doing high fives for health workers, NHS workers, all over the world really. And he dressed up in a superhero costume if it's for a doctor or a nurse that's on the front line. But yeah, the feel good factor is kind of getting sent absolutely everywhere. It's humbling, and Puggy's kind of really making people's day. But yeah, we're doing dozens per day.
Lisa Colson's with us from Canterbury BID. What right now within Canterbury is the overriding emotion? How are businesses? How is everyone? And most importantly, how's that future sort of looking in context?
It's probably the same for all of us. There are lots of mixed emotions, and this whole thing has been a roller coaster. And I think it's encouraging because everyone acknowledges that, and we've all have different challenges in terms of how we're working, but it's been really hard hearing some of the stories of the struggles that businesses are going through, and at the same time also heartwarming to hear what people can do and how we can help support them, but also just the amazing creativity and innovation that we're seeing and resilience that we're seeing. I mean, it's amazing how quickly people adapt, and that's been, really, really inspiring. The crisis management had to be the right thing. It had to be the right thing to help businesses figure out what financial support was going to be available. And I'm sure we were all, listening to daily webinars, more webinars than we've ever listened to before. The 5 o'clock briefing, we were all absolutely tuned in and trying to find the latest information and get that out through all of our networks. But the response has been really encouraging as well. So, we used to engage in person mostly. I mean, we have our email and our social media and our website, and we would absolutely keep things going. But for us, it used to be the much more the in-person engagement with our ambassadors out on the street, with a team, meeting with businesses every day and networking and training. And now it's all digital, lots of phone calls, lots of emails through different email networks. That's the interesting thing about this, is that there is now so much information out there, but we all respond to information more when it comes from someone we know, from a friend. So we've been working with as many networks as we can just to try and help.
There's a founder of an events company. Tell us a little bit about what the last month, 6 weeks have been like for you.
The weirdest thing for us really is the kind of the not knowing. This is a kind of open-ended thing at a minute. So normally if something came along that stopped us doing an event or a big festival, we would have a contingency plan. We'd have a kind of another date in mind. We'd have something else to kind of plan. We can't really do much planning, so we've just tried to be as kind of creative as we can and look at it and go, right, we can't do real live shows. We're going to have to do virtual shows. It sounds a bit cheesy, but from a crisis, I think there is always a kind of a surge of creativity, and we only have to look at our news feeds or our social media feeds just to see how many people are kind of the change in how people are consuming this stuff, but also expressing themselves and putting it out there. I mean, at the minute, we're not looking at doing anything. We can't look at anything before September.
Yeah.
But between now and September, if you add up all of our shows, we're probably looking at the kind of like the higher end of the 40s. So it's just 40 odd shows. Some of them small shows, but some of them, a big show, with 5,000 capacity. So yeah, it's devastating reading, but times will change and we'll have a big year next year.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, next summer's going to be nuts. I mean, if you think about all of the sporting events that are going to happen that haven't happened this year, the Olympics, wow, we're going to have a 2021 for sure.
Caroline, Director of PR and Content at Westgate Communications. Given the current situation, I mean, press and communications have never been more important.
Some companies have massively ballsed it up, to put it bluntly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, big companies as well have really messed it up because they might have been portrayed in the press and have their reputation damaged because they've not been either handling their employees correctly, managing how they are navigating this weird period where people are suddenly working from home, people are being furloughed, people are being, especially at the beginning, no one knew what they were doing. So some people were being sent into work when actually maybe they shouldn't have been putting makeup on a client for on a beauty desk in a department store, but because it wasn't clear cut, and those massive companies that own those beauty boutiques or clothing stores or whatever it was might not have been directing their staff, and they kind of suffered a lot at the beginning because they were seen to be huge companies that weren't necessarily putting the most important things first. On the plus side though, it can really shout about the individual work that people are doing to support what's happening. So we've seen quite a lot of alcohol producers, including distillers here in Kent. So I know that Shepherd Neame and Copper Rivet have joined together to produce some hand sanitizer, as well as other producers in the county. So it can really help show how businesses really care.
Dan, you used to work for LinkedIn. You now work as a company who provides services for LinkedIn. So what's it been like for you the last few years watching the platform grow?
It's pretty amazing to see that growth come through. But it's not that surprising, right? You think Microsoft spent, 26.2 billion buying the platform. So they've got to see the potential in the platform, in the members, in the purpose of the company. So really, from that point of view, it's not as surprising. When I joined back in 2012, there's around 100 million members. When I left, there's around 350 million. That's in 2017. They're up to about 700 million now. But it's the tip of the iceberg, right? So once you get that integration with Microsoft, the full integration, they're looking at hitting the 3 billion mark. Some of the elements that are working in other social media platforms and just twisting it slightly and adapting it for the business environment. So that's what they tend to do. They will look at what's working out there in other platforms and take the best bits for themselves. At the very, very basic level, getting your photo right is absolutely key, right? That's the first thing that people look at. It's the first thing people see and think, when you're looking at these pictures, is that a person you want to hire? Is that a person who you want to do business with? Is that a company you want to do business with? And if you use those same set of rules for your own picture, then it's a decent starting place. But actually, one tip that typically is not talked around is get someone else to choose your picture. Because the reason is, when you've got your own picture and you're choosing it yourself, everyone's got hang-ups, right? Everyone's got an issue with something. So if you get other people to do it, they don't see this. They see you just as you are, and they have a better perspective on what a good picture of you looks like. So that's quite key.
Mr. Paul Andrews.
With the offer you guys made to help independent retailers go online has been fantastic. That's been absolutely brilliant from 2 points of view. One, you've done it to help people, survive in this. But for me, the biggest benefit is the longer term. For a long time, I've been talking to businesses, especially retail businesses, about being more digital. And so many retail businesses were scared of the technology, didn't understand the technology, didn't want to get involved. This has kind of, on the one hand, forced them, but on the other hand, with the things that you guys offered, it made it easy. But the brilliant thing about that is they've now experienced selling digitally. And I don't expect any of them to go back. Yeah. I expect them all to keep going with their digital offerings from now on in.
Yeah.
And I also expect a lot of people will go, why have I got a shop? Why have I got a physical shop? Yeah, my overheads that killed me and were potentially going to kill my business were the rent on rates on some fixed premises. But more and more and more, the business model works better as a digital platform rather than a physical platform. I'm not one of those people that worries about the high street in the long term, because I think the high street itself will adapt and evolve and change. It will become far more mixed use. It will be entertainment, and also a lot of places will be converted into domestic flats and apartments and homes.
Chris Williams has grown his LinkedIn following to over 30,000 after building a very active and engaged network on LinkedIn.
Personal branding, so people, your personal accounts, things like that, that's what's getting eyeballs on LinkedIn. And that's purely because no one really gives a rat's ass about your company socially. And let's face it, that's what LinkedIn is. It's a social platform. It's no longer a B2B only corporate, just by the, I was going to say a word then that I can't use on live, but by people that have got their own very, very narrow, this is how business should be done. That it's disappeared. We're no longer part of a loyalty marketing genre of marketing anymore. It's not about loyalty. It's about personalization. It's about the individual. It's about the company allowing individuals to express themselves. I've actually got an open email on my screen right now where I've got to reply to somebody who's asked, can I advise them on an ad campaign? So I'm going to do it now. Don't do it.
Let's do it live.
So it all depends on what they're looking to achieve on it. So whenever someone does ask me, I want to do an ad campaign, normally it's on the back of thinking, well, it's going to be similar to Facebook. And it's not, unfortunately. The time it takes LinkedIn to create the audience for you is, for me, it's far too long. You're talking 4 to 6 weeks sometimes, where for them to get a true understanding of the response rates of an audience that you've built. So therefore, all of that time, you're spending money on them experimenting whether that ad should be placed in front of that demographic or not.
We've got Lauren Hampshire, and she's the owner and founder of the Milky Tea Company.
I mean, I did notice end of March, sort of straight after the lockdown was announced, my sales fell off a cliff. It really quietened down for those first, I'd say the last week in March, first 2 weeks of April were really, really quiet sales wise. In the last few weeks, it's really picked up. So I feel like it's kind of getting back to normal. And I guess it probably means there'll be more competition with people moving online. So maybe it could be in that way. I mean, I've been totally online, but I also think there's going to be even more and more people shopping online. So it could obviously be a good thing in that way, because I think everyone's getting so used to now shopping online that it's just going to become even more the norm than it already was. So yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I'm feeling quite lucky to have been able to get through this without being too badly affected, not had to get rid of anyone and not had to furlough or anything. I'm glad that I started 2 years ago, because I think that it allowed me to kind of build up to where I am now. I think, although in some ways, yes, now is a good time to get into digital because everyone's online. At the same time, because so many people are into it, then, you're going to be a very small fish in a big pond if you haven't already built up a following. Like, I was quite lucky, for example, with Instagram 2 years ago, it was a lot easier to grow and to get bigger organically. Now I do find it's much, much harder to grow organically in social media. So I feel like things that I luckily started 2 years ago have now built up and are now ticking over. But I think if I started them now, it would have been a lot harder.